When I saw that Instagram post of my husband's secretary in the Maldives on our 10th anniversary, I thought I had discovered the worst betrayal of my life. 3 days later, his boss called me by mistake asking for help, or so I thought. That phone call wasn't a mistake. It was part of a plan to use my broken heart as a weapon. The boss who seemed worried about his company was actually stealing millions. My cheating husband was just a small player in a much bigger game. And me? I wasn't the helpless victim everyone thought I was. I became the woman who brought down a criminal empire while rebuilding my own life from nothing. The wife who turned her worst nightmare into her greatest victory. But here's what will shock you. What if everything you think you know about that phone call is wrong? And what if the person who really saved me was myself all along? Let me tell you exactly how my perfect plan crumbled and became something even better. I smoothed down my new blue dress one more time and checked the clock. 6:15. Marcus would be home any minute, and everything had to be perfect. The champagne sat in an ice bucket on our dining room table. Real champagne, not the cheap stuff we usually bought. I had splurged because today was special. Today was our 10th wedding anniversary. The candles were lit. The good china was out. I had even bought fresh flowers, white roses, Marcus's favorite. Our reservation at Rosario's Italian restaurant was for 7:30. The same place where Marcus had proposed to me 11 years ago. I wanted tonight to be magical. We needed it to be magical. Marcus had been working so much lately. Long hours at the office, weekend meetings, business trips that seemed to pop up out of nowhere. I barely saw him anymore, and when I did, he seemed tired and distant. But tonight would be different. Tonight was just for us. I heard a car door slam outside and my heart jumped. He was home. I quickly lit the last candle and checked my lipstick in the hallway mirror. But the car drove away. It wasn't Marcus. 6:30 came and went. Then 6:45. I called his cell phone. It went straight to voicemail. "Hi, you've reached Marcus. Leave a message and I'll call you back." "Marcus, it's me. Where are you? Our reservation is in an hour. Call me back." 7 o'clock. Still no Marcus. I called his office. The phone rang and rang, but no one answered. Everyone had gone home for the day. 7:15. I called the restaurant. "Rosario's, this is Tony." "Hi, this is Elena Santos. I have a reservation for 7:30 under Santos. I need to push it back to 8 o'clock. My husband is running late." "No problem, Mrs. Santos. See you at 8. But even as I said it, I knew Marcus wouldn't make it by 8 either. 7:30, 7:45, 8 o'clock. I blew out the candles. The champagne had gone warm. The ice had melted. My perfect anniversary dinner was ruined. I called the restaurant again. "Tony, this is Elena Santos again. I'm so sorry, but we need to cancel tonight." "Are you sure? We can hold the table a little longer." "I'm sure. Thank you." I hung up and stared at my reflection in the black window. My blue dress looked ridiculous now. My carefully done hair and makeup felt like a costume for a play no one was watching. Where was my husband? At 9 o'clock, I started to worry that something bad had happened. What if Marcus had been in an accident? What if he was hurt and couldn't call me? I called the local hospitals. No one named Marcus Santos had been admitted. At 10 o'clock, worry turned to anger. He had forgotten. On our 10th anniversary, my husband had simply forgotten to come home. I changed out of my blue dress and put on my pajamas. I put the champagne back in the fridge and blew out all the candles. I put the good china away and threw the white roses in the trash. Then I sat on our couch and cried. At 11:30, I was scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself from the pain in my chest when I saw it. A post on Instagram from Vivian Torres, Marcus's secretary. The photo showed the inside of an airplane. Fancy seats with lots of legroom. First class. The caption read, "Off to paradise. Can't wait for this amazing trip." My heart stopped. In the background of the photo, I could see part of a boarding pass. The destination was partly visible. All dives. The Maldives. I stared at the photo until my eyes burned. The Maldives was the exact place Marcus and I had talked about visiting for our anniversary. The place he said was too expensive right now, and maybe we can go next year. But he wasn't going next year with me. He was going right now with his secretary. I looked closer at the photo. In the corner, I could see a man's hand holding a drink. The hand was wearing a watch, a silver watch with a blue face. The same watch I had given Marcus for his birthday 2 years ago. My perfect husband had taken his secretary to the Maldives on our 10th wedding anniversary. I dropped my phone and ran to the bathroom. I barely made it before I threw up. When I was done being sick, I looked at myself in the mirror. My face was pale, and my eyes were red from crying. Everything I thought I knew about my marriage was a lie. Marcus wasn't working. Late. He wasn't going to business meetings. He was having an affair with Vivian. And while I had been planning our romantic anniversary dinner, he had been planning a romantic trip to paradise with another woman. I walked back to our bedroom, my bedroom, now, and lay down on the bed we had shared for 10 years. I cried until I fell asleep, still wearing my pajamas, still tasting betrayal in my mouth. My perfect plan had crumbled, and so had my perfect marriage. 3 days passed without a word. From Marcus. 3 long days where I called in sick to work because I couldn't stop crying. 3 days of staring at that Instagram photo until I had memorized every detail. I barely ate. I barely slept. I kept checking my phone every few minutes, hoping Marcus would call and explain everything. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe I was wrong about what I saw. But deep down, I knew the truth. My husband was in paradise with another woman while I fell, apart at home. On the 3rd day, I was sitting in my kitchen in the same pajamas I had worn for 2 days straight. I was eating cereal for dinner because I couldn't bring myself to cook a real meal. The house felt empty and cold without Marcus. Then my phone rang. The caller ID showed Marcus's office number. Finally, I thought. Finally, he's going to explain where he's been. I grabbed the phone so fast I almost dropped it. "Hello?" My voice sounded rough from crying. "Marcus, thank God I reached you. We have a serious problem here." The voice wasn't Marcus. It was his boss, Mr. Richardson. He sounded panicked and out of breath. "Mr. Richardson? This is Elena, Marcus's wife. He's not..." "Elena? Oh no. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I meant to call Marcus directly. I must have hit the wrong number in my contacts. What's wrong? What kind of problem?" There was a long pause. I could hear Mr. Richardson breathing heavily on the other end of the phone. He sounded really upset. "Elena, I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but Marcus isn't on a business trip right now. The company didn't send him anywhere." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "He took personal vacation days. He said he needed time off to handle some family matters." Family matters. The lie hit me like a slap in the face. What family matters? I was his family and I didn't know anything about any matters. "But that's not even the worst part," Mr. Richardson continued. His voice was getting more panicked. "Elena, there's been a terrible mistake at the office. A huge one." "What kind of mistake?" "Marcus has been handling our biggest client account, the Peterson Corporation deal. It's worth millions of dollars to our company. Millions." "Okay," I said quietly, not understanding why he was telling me this. "The big presentation is tomorrow morning. The presentation that could make or break our company's future." Marcus was supposed to be here today to prepare everything, but he's not here. He's not answering his phone. His computer is locked with passwords. All the important files are protected. I felt sick to my stomach. I don't understand what this has to do with me. Elena, if we don't have that presentation ready for tomorrow, we lose everything. The Peterson account will go to our competitors. We'll lose other clients too. Hundreds of people will lose their jobs. Good people with families. But I don't know anything about Marcus's work. You're listed as his emergency contact in our files. You must have access to his work laptop at home, right? For backup purposes? I looked across the kitchen toward Marcus's home office. He did keep his work laptop there. And I knew his password. He had given it to me years ago in case of emergencies. It was our anniversary date, 06/15/2014. Maybe, I said carefully. Elena, I know this is a lot to ask. I know you're probably confused and upset about Marcus being gone. But could you help us? Could you check his files at home? The Peterson presentation should be saved somewhere on his computer. I stared at Marcus's office door. Part of me wanted to say no. Let Marcus deal with the mess he had created. He had abandoned me on our anniversary. Why should I help him now? But Mr. Richardson was talking about hundreds of innocent people losing their jobs. People who had nothing to do with Marcus's lies and betrayal. I'll look, I said finally. Thank you so much, Elena. You're literally saving our company. You're saving hundreds of families. After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my kitchen. So Marcus had lied to his boss too. He had told Mr. Richardson he was dealing with family matters while he was really on a romantic vacation with his secretary. How many people had Marcus lied to? I walked slowly to his office and turned on his work laptop. The password still worked. As the computer started up, I saw dozens of panicked emails from Mr. Richardson and other coworkers. They were all depending on Marcus, and he had left them hanging. I found the Peterson presentation in his work files and emailed it to Mr. Richardson. At least, those innocent people would keep their jobs. But as I was closing his email, I accidentally clicked on a folder I had never seen before. It was labeled Personal, Private. Inside were photos, hundreds of them. Marcus and Vivian together, at restaurants, at hotels, in her apartment, kissing, holding hands, looking at each other like they were in love. The photos went back 6 months. 6 months of lies and betrayal. At the bottom of the folder was a document that made my blood freeze. Divorce papers, draft. I clicked on it with shaking hands. It was a complete divorce petition. Marcus's lawyer had already prepared everything. The papers were dated 2 weeks ago. Marcus wasn't just cheating on me. He was planning to divorce me. He had already started the legal process. My legs gave out. I collapsed into his desk chair, staring at the computer screen. The divorce papers were detailed and thorough. Marcus had been planning this for a long time. Everything I thought I knew about my life was completely wrong. While I had been planning our anniversary dinner, Marcus had been planning to end our marriage. I wasn't just a betrayed wife. I was a fool who hadn't seen any of this coming. I scrolled through the photos again, torturing myself. Marcus looked happier with Vivian than he had looked with me in years. In every picture, he was smiling and relaxed. When was the last time he had looked at me that way? I couldn't remember. I closed the laptop and stumbled back to the kitchen. I felt like I was going to throw up again. My phone was ringing. It was Mr. Richardson calling back. Elena, I got the presentation. You saved us. Thank you so much. You're welcome, I whispered. Elena, are you okay? You sound upset. I found some other things on Marcus's computer. What kind of things? I took a deep breath. There was no point in protecting Marcus anymore. Mr. Richardson, Marcus isn't dealing with family matters. He's in the Maldives with his secretary, Vivian Torres. The silence on the other end was so long I thought the call had dropped. Elena, are you sure? I'm sure. I saw the photos. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, Elena. I had no idea. But I wasn't finished. The anger was building inside me now, pushing away the sadness. Mr. Richardson, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Of course. How important is the Peterson account really? How much money are we talking about? About $12 million over 3 years. It's our biggest client by far. And if Marcus had messed this up by disappearing? The company? Probably would have gone under. We would have had to lay off most of our staff. I stared at the divorce papers still open on my phone screen. A plan was starting to form in my mind. A way to fight back. Mr. Richardson, I want to help you more, but I need something in return. What do you need, Elena? I need you to do exactly what I tell you to do, no questions asked. I don't understand. Marcus put your company at risk. He lied to you. He abandoned his responsibilities, and he's been planning to divorce me and leave me with nothing. Elena, what are you asking me to do? I'm asking you to help me make sure Marcus doesn't get away with destroying everyone's life. There was another long pause. What do you have in mind? I have a plan, but first I need to know everything about how Marcus has been handling company money. Why? Because I think Marcus's betrayal goes deeper than just cheating on his wife. And I was right. It went much deeper than I ever could have imagined. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photos of Marcus and Vivian. I saw the divorce papers with my husband's signature already on them. I saw the lies stacked on top of lies, but what bothered me most was the timeline. The photos went back 6 months, but the divorce papers were only 2 weeks old. What had changed? Why was Marcus suddenly in such a hurry to end our marriage? The next morning, I did something I had never done before in my 10 years of marriage. I hired a private investigator. His name was Detective Morrison. He specialized in cheating spouses and financial fraud. His office was small and cluttered, but his eyes were sharp and kind. I need proof, I told him. Photos, videos, documents, everything. That's easy enough, Mrs. Santos. But what's your timeline? They're supposed to be back from the Maldives. In 2 days. I need everything before Marcus comes home. Consider it done. But can I ask why you're in such a hurry? I showed him the divorce papers on my phone. Because my husband is planning to divorce me, and I think he's hiding money. Detective Morrison nodded slowly. Smart woman. Most people wait until it's too late. While Detective Morrison worked on getting proof of the affair, I had my own investigation to do. I spent the rest of that day learning everything I could about Marcus's job, his accounts, and his responsibilities. I also discovered something that made my blood boil. Marcus had been taking money from our joint savings account. Small amounts at first, $50 here, $100 there. But over the past 6 months, the amounts had gotten bigger. $500, $1,000, $2,000. All the money was gone on the same dates as his business trips with Vivian. Marcus had been funding his affair with our money I had saved from my own job. Money we were supposed to use for our future together. But that wasn't the worst discovery. I found Marcus's credit card statements hidden in his desk drawer. The Maldives trip wasn't just expensive, it was incredibly expensive. First class, flights for 2 people, a 5-star resort, spa treatments, romantic dinners that cost more than I spent on groceries in a month. The total cost was over $15,000. We didn't have $15,000. I called our bank, my hands shaking as I dialed. Hello, this is Elena Santos. I need to check on any loans against our house. Let me look that up for you, Mrs. Santos. Yes, there's a home equity loan that was approved 3 weeks ago. My heart stopped. How much? $25,000. The loan was requested by your husband, Marcus Santos. Was my signature required? No, ma'am. Since both your names are on the house deed, either spouse can take out a home equity loan. I hung up and stared at the wall. Marcus had borrowed $25,000 against our house. Our home, the place where I felt safe, the place we had built our life together, was now collateral for his affair. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was betting our entire future on his relationship with Vivian. That afternoon, Mr. Richardson called me back. Elena, how are you holding up? I'm angry, I said honestly, and I'm learning things about Marcus that I wish I didn't know. What kind of things? He's been stealing money from our joint accounts and from our home equity, all to pay for his trips with Vivian. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Mr. Richardson, I need to ask you about Marcus's business trips. The ones he took with Vivian. What about them? How many trips did they take together? Well, let me think. There was Boston in March, Chicago in April, Miami in May, and now this unauthorized trip to the Maldives. Who paid for those trips? The buy-in company did, of course. They were business trips. Are you sure they were business trips? There was a long pause. What are you suggesting, Elena? I'm suggesting that you check the receipts from those trips very carefully. Why? Because I found hotel receipts in Marcus's desk. Hotels that charge by the night, not by business conference rates. Restaurants that don't host business dinners. Spa treatments that definitely aren't business expenses. Oh no. Elena, are you saying Marcus charged personal expenses to the company? I'm saying you should check every single receipt from every trip he took with Vivian. That evening, Mr. Richardson called me back. His voice was tight with anger. Elena, you were right. Every trip Marcus took with Vivian was charged to the company as a business expense. But there were no business meetings, no conferences, no clients. How much money are we talking about? About $8,000 so far, maybe more. So Marcus was stealing from you too. It looks that way. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to have to report this to the police, and I'm going to have to fire both Marcus and Vivian as soon as they get back. Mr. Richardson, I want to be there when you confront them. Elena, I don't think that's a good idea. This should be handled professionally. Please. I need to see Marcus's face when he realizes his lies have caught up with him. There was a long pause. Okay, but only if you promise to let me handle the confrontation. I promise. But I had no intention of staying quiet. Marcus had betrayed me, his company, and everyone who trusted him. He had stolen from all of us to fund his fantasy life, with Vivian. The next day, Detective Morrison called with his report. Mrs. Santos, I have good news and bad news. Give me the bad news first. Your husband and his secretary are definitely having an affair. I have photos of them together, Eddie. The resort in the Maldives, very intimate photos. Even though I already knew, hearing it confirmed still hurt. What's the good news? They're not being very careful. I've been monitoring their social media and credit card usage. They're leaving evidence everywhere. What kind of evidence? Hotel. Receipts, restaurant bills, spa appointments, all paid for with credit cards linked to accounts with your husband's name on them. Including our joint account? Especially your joint account? Elena, your husband has been using your money to pay for this entire affair. Can you document all of this? I already have. Every transaction, every photo, every lie. It's all in my report. Detective Morrison, I need you to do one more thing for me. What's that? I need you to find out if Marcus has opened any new bank accounts recently. Accounts that I don't know about. Why do you think he would do that? Because he's planning to divorce me, and I think he's been hiding money so I can't get it in the divorce. That's smart thinking. Give me another day. That night, I sat in Marcus's office, surrounded by evidence of his betrayal. Bank statements, credit card bills, hotel receipts, divorce papers. The man I had loved for 11 years had been systematically destroying our life together, but I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Tomorrow, Marcus would come home expecting to find his naive wife waiting for him. He would probably have some elaborate story about where he had been. Maybe he would even bring me a gift from his business trip. Instead, he would find divorce papers, a criminal investigation, and a wife who knew exactly what he had done. I wasn't the same woman who had cried in her blue dress 3 days ago. That woman had been broken by betrayal. This woman was ready to fight back. The next morning, Detective Morrison called me with news that changed everything. Elena, I have more information for you. Some of it is good news. Some of it is very bad news. Tell me everything. The bad news first. Your husband and Vivian have definitely been having an affair for at least 6 months. I have photos of them together at hotels in Boston, Chicago, and Miami. All the trips that were supposed to be business trips. My heart sank even though I already knew. What's the good news? They've been sloppy. Really sloppy. They're leaving a trail of evidence everywhere they go. Credit card receipts, social media posts, hotel registration records. It's like they wanted to get caught. Or they thought I was too stupid to figure it out. Maybe. But here's the interesting part. I did some digging into their financial records like you asked. What did you find? Marcus has opened 3 new bank accounts in the past 4 months. All in his name only. No joint accounts with you. I felt sick. How much money is in them? About $30,000 total. Money that's been moved from your joint accounts, from the home equity loan, and from other sources. Other sources? That's where it gets complicated. Some of the money came from places that don't make sense. What do you mean? Elena, I think Marcus has been stealing from his company for longer than just those fake business trips. My blood ran cold. How much longer? I found records going back almost a year. Small amounts at first, but getting bigger over time. I think he's been taking money from company accounts and hiding it in his personal accounts. How much money are we talking about? Maybe $50,000 or $60,000. It's hard to tell without seeing the company books. I sat down heavily in my kitchen chair. Marcus wasn't just a cheating husband. He was a criminal. Detective Morrison, what happens if he gets caught? Prison time, definitely. And he'd have to pay back every penny he stole. What about me? What about our divorce? If Marcus goes to prison for theft, you'd get everything in the divorce. The house, the savings, his pension, everything. The court doesn't look kindly on criminals who try to hide assets. For the first time in days, I felt a little bit of hope. Detective Morrison, I need you to get me proof of everything. Every stolen dollar, every hidden account, every lie. I'm already working on it. But Elena, there's something else you should know. What? I think Vivian doesn't know about the stolen money. In all my surveillance, she acts like someone who thinks everything is legitimate. You mean she doesn't know Marcus is a thief? I don't think so. I think she believes all those business trips were real. I think she believes Marcus when he tells her he has money. So she's being lied to too. Looks that way. After I hung up with Detective Morrison, I felt strange. Part of me was angry at Vivian for stealing my husband. But part of me felt sorry for her. She had no idea she was dating a criminal. That afternoon, I called my sister Rachel. She was a divorce lawyer and I needed legal advice. "Elena, you sound different. Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay. I'm ready to fight." I told Rachel everything. The affair, the stolen money, the hidden accounts, the fake business trips. "Oh, my God, Elena, this is much worse than just cheating." "I know. What can I do?" "First, you need to protect yourself financially. If Marcus is hiding assets, we need to freeze them before he can move them again." "How do we do that?" "I'll file an emergency motion with the court. We can freeze all his accounts until the divorce is settled." "What about the stolen money from his company?" "That's a criminal matter. The police will handle that, but it actually helps your divorce case." "How?" "When a spouse commits crimes during the marriage, especially financial crimes, the innocent spouse usually gets everything in the divorce." "Everything?" "The house, the savings, his pension, his stock options, everything." "What about his debts? The home equity loan?" "If he took out that loan without your knowledge for illegal purposes, you might not be responsible for it." "Really?" "Really. Elena, if everything you're telling me is true, Marcus is about to lose everything." "Good. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Once we start legal proceedings, there's no going back." "I'm sure. Marcus made his choice when he decided to cheat on me and steal from everyone who trusted him." "Okay, I'll start preparing the paperwork." That evening, Mr. Richardson called me again. "Elena, I've been looking into those company expenses like you suggested. What did you find?" "It's worse than we thought. Much worse." "How much worse?" "Marcus has been charging personal expenses to the company for almost a year, not just the trips with Vivian, other things too." "What kind of things?" "Expensive. Dinners at restaurants where he took Vivian, hotel rooms for weekend getaways, even jewelry purchases." "Jewelry?" "A diamond necklace from Tiffany. Charged to the company as a client gift, but there's no record of any client receiving it." I felt like I was going to throw up. Marcus had bought Vivian jewelry with stolen money. Jewelry he had never bought for me in 10 years of marriage. "How much money total?" "Close to $100,000. $100,000? Elena, this is serious criminal behavior. I have to report this to the police immediately." "When?" "Tomorrow morning. I'm meeting with a detective at 9 a.m. Mr. Richardson, Marcus, and Vivian are supposed to be back tomorrow afternoon." I know. The police will be waiting for them." "I still want to be there when they're arrested." "Elena, are you sure? It's going to be very difficult to watch." "I'm sure. I need to see Marcus face the consequences of what he's done." "Okay. But Elena, there's something else you should know." "What now?" "I've been thinking about this whole situation, about how Marcus could steal so much money without anyone noticing." "What do you mean?" "Marcus wasn't working alone. Someone else had to know about the fake expenses. Someone had to approve them." "Who?" "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." After I hung up, I sat in the quiet of my house. Tomorrow, my husband would come home from his romantic vacation and find police officers waiting for him. He would be arrested for theft and fraud. His affair would be exposed. His career would be over. A week ago, I would have felt sorry for him. A week ago, I would have tried to help him. But that was before I found out he had been planning to divorce me. Before I found out he had been stealing money. Before I found out he had been lying to everyone who cared about him. Marcus had made his choices. Now he would live with the consequences. I looked around at our house, my house now, the house Marcus had used as collateral for his affair, the house he was planning to take away from me in the divorce. Well, he wasn't going to take anything away from me. Not anymore. Tomorrow, Marcus would learn that his naive little wife wasn't so naive after all. Tomorrow, the real fight would begin. I woke up early on the day Marcus was supposed to return. I put on my best black dress, not the blue one from our ruined anniversary, but a powerful black one that made me feel strong and confident. I had already moved all my important belongings to Rachel's house. The divorce papers were filed. Detective Morrison had delivered his complete report to the police. I was ready for war. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I arrived at Marcus's office building. Mr. Richardson was waiting for me in the lobby with 2 security guards and a police detective. "Elena, are you absolutely sure you want to do this?" Mr. Richardson asked. "I'm sure. Their flight landed an hour ago. They should be here any minute." I nodded and tried to keep my hands from shaking, not from fear, but from pure anger. At 2:45, Marcus and Vivian walked through the glass doors together. They were both tan and relaxed, laughing about something. Marcus had his hand on Vivian's lower back in a way that was clearly romantic, not professional. When Marcus saw me sitting in the lobby, his face went completely white. "Elena? What are you doing here?" "Hello, Marcus. How was your family emergency?" "My what?" "Your family emergency. That's what you told Mr. Richardson when you took vacation days. That's the reason you gave for disappearing." Marcus looked around the lobby and noticed the security guards and police detective for the first time. His face went from white to bright red. "What's going on here? Why are there police?" Mr. Richardson stepped forward. "Marcus, Vivian, we need to talk. All of us." Vivian looked confused and scared. "Is there a problem with the Peterson account? Did something go wrong with the presentation?" "The Peterson account is fine," Mr. Richardson said coldly. "This is about unauthorized use of company funds for personal travel." Marcus's hands started shaking. "I don't know what you're talking about." Boston in March, Chicago in April, Miami in May, the Maldives this week. All company-paid trips, all personal in nature, all fraudulent. Vivian stepped away from Marcus looking shocked. "What is he talking about?" "Marcus," I said, standing up slowly, "why don't you tell Vivian what he's talking about?" "Elena, I can explain everything." "Explain what?" "Explain how you took your secretary to paradise on our 10th wedding anniversary? Explain how you've been having an affair for 6 months? Explain how you've been stealing from your company and from our marriage?" Vivian's mouth fell open. She stared at Marcus in horror. "Marcus, you're married." The entire lobby fell silent. Everyone stared at Vivian. "You didn't know?" I asked her gently. "Know what?" "Marcus told me he was divorced 2 years ago. He said his ex-wife was crazy and bitter, and that's why he didn't like to talk about her." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Marcus hadn't just cheated on me. He had told Vivian I was his crazy ex-wife. "Vivian," I said softly, "Marcus and I have been married for 10 years. We live together in the same house. We share bank accounts. We are definitely not divorced." Vivian looked at Marcus with complete disgust. "Is this true?" Marcus opened his mouth, but no words came out. Marcus Chen and Vivian Torres, the police detective, stepped forward. "You're both under arrest for theft and fraud." "Wait," Vivian said, backing away. "I didn't know. I thought everything was legitimate. I thought those were real business trips." "Ma'am, you signed the expense reports. You processed the payments. You had to know they weren't real business expenses." I trusted him. He told me we were building relationships with important clients. He said the fancy hotels and restaurants were necessary for business. As the detective put handcuffs on Marcus, he finally found his voice. "Elena, please. I can explain everything. I was going to tell you the truth when I got back." "Tell me what truth?" That you were planning to divorce me? I found the papers, Marcus. I know everything. You went through my computer? I saved your company. Mr. Richardson called me when you abandoned everyone and left them hanging. I had to find the Peterson presentation so hundreds of people wouldn't lose their jobs. You had no right. I had every right. You're my husband, or at least you were until I filed for divorce 3 days ago. Marcus stared at me in complete shock. You filed for divorce? I did. And I froze all our joint accounts. And I reported the home equity loan you took out without telling me. That's fraud, by the way. As the police led Marcus toward the door, he turned back to me one last time. Elena, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen this way. No, Marcus. You meant for it to happen worse. You meant to disappear with all our money and leave me with nothing. You meant to make me look like the crazy ex-wife while you started a new life. Vivian was crying now as the female officer led her away. I'm so sorry, she called back too. I really didn't know he was married. I thought I was helping him get over a bad divorce. I know, I called back. You were lied to just like I was. After they were both gone, Mr. Richardson turned to me. Elena, I'm so sorry you had to go through all of this, but I want you to know that what you did, helping us save the Peterson account when Marcus abandoned us, that literally saved our company. Thanks, you. Is there anything else we can do for you? I thought about it. Yes, I want to make sure Marcus can't access his pension or his stock options while he's in jail. Consider it done. And Mr. Richardson, you said you thought someone else might have been helping Marcus steal money. Yes, I'm still investigating that. When you find out who it was, I want to know. Why? Because they helped destroy my marriage, and I want them to pay for it too. As I walked out of that office building, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt powerful. For the first time since I discovered Marcus's betrayal, I was completely in control. Marcus had thought he was so smart. He thought he could lie to everyone and get away with it. He thought he could steal from me, from his company, from everyone who trusted him. He thought wrong. The man who had betrayed me was now sitting in a jail cell. The woman he had chosen over me was facing criminal charges too. And I was walking away with everything: the house, the money, the truth, and my dignity. Marcus had tried to make me the victim in his story. Instead, I had become the hero in mine. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind of lawyers, paperwork, and phone calls. Marcus was in jail, unable to make bail because of the huge amount of money he had stolen. Vivian was released on bail, but she had lost her job and was facing serious criminal charges. I felt sorry for Vivian. She had been lied to, just like I had been. Marcus had manipulated both of us, but in different ways. Rachel helped me navigate the divorce proceedings. Because of Marcus's criminal behavior, the judge was very sympathetic to my case. Elena, you're going to get everything, Rachel told me over coffee. The house, the savings, his pension, his stock options, everything. What about the debts? The home equity loan? That's Marcus's problem now. The loan he took out against the house was fraudulent because he didn't get your real consent. He lied about why he needed the money. So I keep the house free and clear? You keep the house. The bank will have to go after Marcus for the loan. Money, but that's not your responsibility anymore. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. 2 weeks after Marcus's arrest, I got an unexpected visitor. It was Vivian. I hope you don't mind me coming here, she said when I opened the door. I know this is awkward, but I needed to talk to you. It's okay. Come in. We sat in my living room, both of us uncomfortable. Vivian looked terrible. She had lost weight, and her eyes were red from crying. I wanted to apologize, she said. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed you to know that I never meant to hurt you. I really thought Marcus was divorced. I believe you. He showed me pictures of this house. He said it belonged to his ex-wife and that she was trying to take everything from him in a bitter divorce. He made me feel sorry for him. Marcus is very good at making people feel sorry for him. Vivian looked around the room. This is a beautiful home. You can tell it's been loved and cared for. It has. I spent 10 years making it perfect. I'm so sorry, Elena. I was stupid. I should have asked more questions. I should have demanded to see divorce papers. Vivian, you were lied to just like I was. Marcus is a professional liar. Can I ask you something? Sure. How did you know? What made you suspicious? I told her about our anniversary, about the Instagram post, about the phone call from Mr. Richardson. I was so careful about what I posted, Vivian said sadly. I didn't want to cause problems for Marcus with his ex-wife. I thought I was being respectful. You were protecting me without knowing it. I guess I was. We sat quietly for a moment. What happens now? Vivian asked. Now we both move on. We both learn from this experience. I'm moving back to my hometown in Ohio, starting completely over. That's probably a good idea. Elena, can I ask you one more thing? What? Are you going to be okay? Financially, I mean? I thought about it. A month ago, I thought my life was over. I thought I had lost everything. But sitting in my beautiful home, knowing that I had fought back and won, I felt stronger than I had in years. Yes, I said. I'm going to be better than okay. After Vivian left, I walked through my house. Every room held memories of my life with Marcus. But now those memories felt different. They felt like chapters in a book that was ending, making room for new chapters to begin. I had been betrayed, lied to, and stolen from, but I had also been strong. I had fought back. I had won. 3 weeks after the arrest, Mr. Richardson called me with updates. Elena, I have news about Marcus's case. What kind of news? The police finished their investigation. Marcus stole over $150,000 from the company. $150,000. Yes, it goes back almost 2 years, much longer than we originally thought. How did he hide it for so long? That's the interesting part. Remember how I said I thought someone else was helping him? Yes. We found out who it was. Who? Janet Morrison in our accounting department. She's been covering for Marcus by falsifying expense reports and hiding the stolen money in fake accounts. I felt my anger rising again. She helped him steal from the company? Yes. And Elena, there's something else. Janet knew about Marcus's affair with Vivian. She knew? She helped Marcus book the hotel rooms for their trips. She knew they weren't business trips. She knew Marcus was married. She helped him lie. To everyone. Why would she do that? Money. Marcus was paying her to keep quiet. About $10,000 over the past year. So she was stealing too. Yes, she's being arrested today. I hung up the phone feeling angry all over again. It wasn't enough that Marcus had betrayed me and stolen from his company. He had also convinced other people to help him do it. How? Many people had known about Marcus's lies while I sat at home planning anniversary dinners. That evening, Detective Morrison called me with his final report. Elena, I have all the evidence you requested. Every stolen dollar, every hidden account, every lie is documented. Thank you. There's one more thing you should know. Marcus has been trying to call you from jail. I don't want to talk to him. I figured, but he asked me to give you a message. What message? He said to tell you that he's sorry. He said he knows he destroyed everything good in his life, and he doesn't expect you to forgive him. He's right. I don't forgive him. He also said to tell you that you were the best thing that ever happened to him, and he's sorry. He was too stupid to appreciate you. I felt tears starting, but not sad tears. Angry tears. Detective Morrison, you can tell Marcus something for me. What's that? Tell him that if he really thought I was the best thing in his life, he shouldn't have thrown me away for a fantasy. I'll tell him. And tell him that I hope he uses his time in prison to figure out how to be honest with people. Maybe his next wife won't have to hire a private investigator to find out who she really married. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen and cried. Not for Marcus, but for the woman I used to be. The woman who trusted too easily. The woman who believed in happily ever after. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger. Someone who wouldn't be anyone's victim ever again. I had lost my marriage, but I had found myself. And that was worth more than any lying husband could ever be. 6 months after Marcus's arrest, I was cleaning out his home office when I found something that changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. Hidden behind a filing cabinet was a small wooden box. Inside were letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me, all written in Marcus's handwriting. None of them ever given to me. I sat on the floor of his office and read them one by one with shaking hands. The first letter was dated 2 years ago. Dear Elena, I know I haven't been the husband you deserve lately. Work has been so stressful, and I feel like I'm failing at everything. I don't know how to talk to you about it. I see how hard. You try to make me happy, and I feel guilty that I can't appreciate it the way I should. I love you so much, but I'm scared I'm going to lose you. If I can't figure out how to be better. The second letter was from 18 months ago. Dear Elena, I almost told you today about how lost I feel, but when I saw you laughing with your sister Rachel, you looked so happy. I didn't want to burden you with my problems. I've been thinking about seeing a therapist, but I'm too proud to admit I need help. I wish I could be the man you married again. The letters continued in order, showing Marcus's increasing desperation and self-doubt. But it was the letter dated 8 months ago that made me gasp. Dear Elena, I did something terrible today. I kissed my secretary Vivian. I don't know why I did it. I was feeling so worthless and she was being kind to me, and I just lost control. I hate myself for it. I know if you found out, you would leave me, and I wouldn't blame you. I'm going to end it tomorrow. I'm going to tell her it was a mistake and it can never happen again, but I'm terrified that I've already ruined everything. But there was another letter dated a week later. Dear Elena, I couldn't end it with Vivian. She makes me feel like I'm worth something. When I'm with her, I don't feel like a failure. I know this is wrong. I know I'm betraying you. But I can't stop. I feel like I'm drowning, and she's the only thing keeping me afloat. I'm going to tell you soon. I'm going to come clean about everything. I just need to figure out how. The letters kept going, each one showing Marcus getting deeper into his lies. Dear Elena, I've started taking money from our accounts to pay for dinners with Vivian. I tell myself it's just temporary, that I'll pay it back when I get my bonus. But I know I'm stealing from you. I'm stealing from us. Dear Elena, I took Vivian to Boston today. I charged it to the company as a business trip, but it wasn't business. We spent the weekend together in a beautiful hotel while I told you I was working. I'm becoming someone I don't recognize. The final letter was dated just 2 weeks before the Maldives trip. Dear Elena, I've made a mess of everything. I've been lying to you, to Vivian, to everyone. I told Vivian I was divorced because I couldn't bear to tell her the truth, that I'm a married man who fell in love with someone else. I told you I was working late because I couldn't bear to see the disappointment in your eyes. I've been stealing money to pay for my lies, and now I'm in so deep I don't know how to get out. I've drafted divorce papers because I think it's the only way to set you free. You deserve so much better than me. I'm taking Vivian to the Maldives because I promised her a romantic trip, but the whole time I'll be thinking about you, about how I should have taken you there instead, about how I've ruined the best thing that ever happened to me. When I get back, I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to confess and accept whatever punishment you think I deserve. I love you, Elena. I've never stopped loving you. And that's what makes this so much worse. I sat on the floor, surrounded by letters, crying harder than I had ever cried in my life. But these weren't tears of anger or betrayal. These were tears of grief for the man I had married. The man who had gotten so lost in his own insecurities that he destroyed everything good in his life. Marcus hadn't set out to hurt me. He had been drowning in his own self-doubt and had made one terrible choice after another, each one making it harder to find his way back to the truth. But reading, the letters also made me angry in a new way. Marcus had been suffering for years, and instead of talking to me about it, he had written letters he never sent. He had made decisions about our marriage without including me. He had decided I was too happy or too fragile to handle his problems. That night, I did something I hadn't done since the day I discovered his affair. I visited Marcus in jail. He looked terrible. He had lost a lot of weight, and his eyes were red and hollow. Prison had aged him years in just a few months. Elena, what are you doing here? I found your letters. Marcus's face crumpled. You weren't supposed to find those. Why didn't you give them to me? Because I'm a coward. Because I was ashamed. Because I thought if I could just fix everything on my own, I wouldn't have to admit how badly I had failed. Marcus, you didn't fail because you were struggling. You failed because you chose to lie, instead of getting help. I know. I know that now. Do you really love me? Elena, I have never stopped loving you. Not for 1 second. That's what makes this so horrible. I betrayed the person I love most in the world. And Vivian? I thought I loved her, but I think I was just desperate to feel like I mattered to someone. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. She didn't know about me. I know. I lied to her too. I've lied to everyone. We sat in silence for a moment, separated by bulletproof glass. Marcus, I'm not dropping the divorce. I understand, but I want you to know that I forgive you. Marcus looked up at me with surprise and hope. You forgive me? I forgive you for being human, for being scared, for making mistakes. But I don't forgive you for lying to me for 2 years. I don't forgive you for making decisions about our marriage without including me. And I don't forgive you for stealing our money. Elena, I'm not finished. I could have helped you. If you had come to me 2 years ago and told me you were struggling, we could have worked through it together. If you had told me you were unhappy, we could have gone to counseling. If you had told me you were attracted to someone else, it would have hurt, but we could have talked about it. I was trying to protect you. No, you were protecting yourself. You were protecting your image. You were too proud to admit you needed help. Marcus was crying now. I'm so sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry. I know you are, and I hope you get the help you need in here. I hope you learn to be honest about your feelings. I hope you learn to ask for help when you need it. What happens to us now? There is no us anymore, Marcus, but maybe someday we can be friends. Maybe someday you can be the man who writes letters and actually sends them. As I left the jail that day, I felt something unexpected. I felt closure. Not the angry, victorious closure I had felt when Marcus was arrested. This was different. This was peaceful. Marcus had been a broken man who broke our marriage, but he had also been a man who loved me and didn't know how to save himself. Couldn't save him, but I could forgive him. And in forgiving him, I finally set myself free. 6 months later, I was a completely different person. The divorce was final. The house was officially mine. Marcus was still in jail, but he was getting counseling and had started paying back the money he stole. I had also started therapy. I needed to understand why I had missed the signs of Marcus's struggles. I needed to learn how to trust again. Most importantly, I needed to learn how to be happy alone. My therapist, Dr. Sarah Kim, helped me see that Marcus's betrayal wasn't about me. It was about his own inability to communicate and ask for help. "Elena, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved," she told me during one of our sessions. "Marcus had 2 years to come to you for help. He chose not to. But if I had been more attentive to his feelings, you were plenty attentive. You planned anniversary dinners. You bought new dresses to make him happy. You tried to connect with him. Marcus chose to shut you out. I just keep thinking about those letters. He was in so much pain." Yes, he was, but he also chose to handle that pain in the worst possible way. He chose to lie, cheat, and steal instead of getting help. I know. I just wish things could have been different. What would you have done if Marcus had come to you 2 years ago and said he was struggling with depression and work stress? I thought about it carefully. I would have suggested therapy. I would have been supportive. I would have tried to help him find solutions. Exactly. You would have been there for him, but he didn't give you that chance. Dr. Kim was right. I had spent months blaming myself for not seeing the signs. But the truth was, Marcus had worked very hard to hide his struggles from me. He had made that choice every single day for 2 years. Around this time, I got an unexpected phone call. It was Vivian. "Elena, I hope you don't mind me calling. I wanted to update you on how things are going." "Of course. How are you doing?" "I'm doing better. I've been going to therapy too. Learning about how I got involved in this situation in the first place." "That's really good." My therapist helped me understand that I was vulnerable to Marcus's lies because of my own issues. I had just gotten out of a bad relationship when I met Marcus, and I was desperate to feel loved and valued. "I'm sorry you went through that." "Elena, I wanted to tell you something important. I testified at Marcus's sentencing hearing last month." "You did?" "Yes. I told the judge that Marcus had lied to both of us. I explained how he manipulated me into believing he was divorced and that all our trips were legitimate business." "How did that go?" The judge was very interested in my story. I think it helped show the pattern of Marcus's dishonest behavior. "What was his final sentence?" 3 years in prison, plus full restitution for all the money he stole from the company and from you." "And what about your charges?" "I got 2 years probation and community service." My lawyer argued successfully that I was a victim of Marcus's manipulation too. "I'm glad things worked out for you." "Elena, there's something else I wanted you to know. I'm writing letters to Marcus, in prison." "What kind of letters?" "Letters telling him exactly how his lies affected me, how he made me an unwitting participant in destroying your marriage, how he used my trust and kindness against me." That must be difficult. It is. But I learned something from watching you. I learned that sometimes you have to fight back. You have to stand up for yourself. After we hung up, I felt a strange sense of peace. Both Marcus and Vivian were taking responsibility for their actions. Both were getting help. Both were trying to make amends in their own ways. A year after the divorce was final, I ran into Mr. Richardson at a coffee shop in town. "Elena, how wonderful to see you. How are you doing?" "I'm doing really well, better than I've been in years. How are things at the company?" "Much better. We hired a new account manager for the Peterson account, someone with more integrity and better judgment." "I'm glad to hear that. Elena, I want you to know again that what you did, helping us with that presentation when Marcus abandoned everyone, that action saved our company. You saved hundreds of jobs. I'm glad I could help. Have you heard anything from Marcus lately? No, I think it's better that way for both of us. He's getting out of prison in about 6 months. I know. Are you worried about him trying to contact you? Not really. I've moved on completely. I have a new life now. And I really did have a new life. I had started dating again, though nothing serious yet. I was learning to trust my instincts about people again. I had also started a support group for women who had been betrayed by their spouses. It felt good to help others who were going through what I had experienced. Most importantly, I had learned to be happy alone. I didn't need someone else to complete me or make me feel valuable. I was whole all by myself. I had also made some big changes to the house. I redecorated Marcus's old office into a reading room. I painted the bedroom a color I loved. I planted a garden in the backyard. The house was becoming truly mine, not just legally, but emotionally. One evening, as I was watering my new flowers, my neighbor Mrs. Chen came over to chat. Elena, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you look happier than I've seen you in years. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. I feel happier. I know it's been a difficult time with your divorce and everything. It has been difficult, but it's also been the best thing that ever happened to me. Mrs. Chen looked surprised. Really? Really? I discovered that I'm much stronger than I ever knew. I learned that I can take care of myself. I learned that I don't need to accept lies or betrayal from anyone. That's a wonderful way to look at it. Mrs. Chen, can I tell you something? Of course. A year ago, I thought my life was ending when I found out about Marcus's affair. I thought I was losing everything that mattered. And now? Now I realize I wasn't losing anything. I was gaining everything. I was gaining myself back. That night, I sat in my beautiful garden with a cup of tea, looking at my house with its warm lights glowing in the windows. This was my sanctuary, my safe place, my new beginning. Marcus had tried to steal my future. Instead, he had given me the chance to build a better one. I was no longer the woman who waited for her husband to come home. I was no longer the woman who made excuses for someone else's bad behavior. I was no longer the woman who needed someone else to make her feel complete. I was Elena Santos. I was strong, independent, and free. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I was Elena Santos. I was strong, independent, and free. And I was exactly where I was supposed to be. 2 years after my divorce was final, I got a phone call that would change everything I thought I knew about my story. Elena, this is Detective Morrison. Detective Morrison, I haven't heard from you in over a year. How are you? I'm doing well. Listen, I'm calling because something has come to light about your case. Something very important. What do you mean? Can you meet me for coffee today? There's something I need to tell you in person, and I think you'll want to sit down for this. An hour later, I sat across from Detective Morrison at the same coffee shop where I had run into Mr. Richardson months earlier. Elena, I need to tell you something about the phone call that started this whole investigation 2 years ago. You mean when Mr. Richardson called me by mistake? That's just it. It wasn't a mistake. I felt the world tilt around me. What do you mean? I've been working on another case, corporate fraud at a different company. During that investigation, I discovered something about Mr. Richardson that I thought you should know. What kind of something? Detective Morrison pulled out a thick file. Mr. Richardson has been under FBI investigation for embezzlement. He's been stealing from his company for years. That's impossible. He seemed so concerned about the company's welfare when Marcus disappeared. That was all an act. Elena, Mr. Richardson knew that Marcus was stealing money. He knew about the fake business trips. He knew about the affair with Vivian. He knew about everything. Then why didn't he stop? Because Marcus wasn't the only one stealing. Mr. Richardson was taking much larger amounts. He needed someone to take the blame when the missing money was discovered. I felt sick to my stomach. Are you saying Mr. Richardson used me? I'm saying Mr. Richardson planned the whole thing. He knew Marcus was having an affair. He knew about the Maldives trip. He called you on purpose, knowing exactly what would happen. But why? Because he needed Marcus to be caught. He needed someone to be the scapegoat for all the missing money. Marcus was perfect. He was actually guilty of stealing, just not of stealing nearly as much as was really missing. How much money was actually missing? About $4 million. Marcus stole maybe $100,000. The rest was taken by Mr. Richardson over several years. I stared at Detective Morrison in complete shock. So, the phone call that changed my life was carefully planned. Mr. Richardson knew exactly what would happen when he called you. He knew you would check Marcus's computer. He knew you would find evidence of the affair. He knew you would help with the Peterson presentation. The Peterson presentation. Was that even real? Oh, it was real. But it wasn't in immediate danger. Mr. Richardson had backup copies of everything. He could have handled the meeting himself if he needed to. Then why did he need me? Because he needed you to be the one to discover Marcus's crimes. He needed you to be a credible witness when the FBI investigated. That way, when investigators looked into the missing money, Marcus would be the obvious suspect. I felt like I was going to throw up. He used my pain. He used my broken marriage to cover up his own crimes. Elena, there's more. More? The Peterson account that supposedly saved the company? Mr. Richardson had already lost it. Months before Marcus's trip to the Maldives, the presentation you helped with was for a client that was no longer working with the company. So everything was a lie? Everything. The urgent meeting, the company being in danger, the hundreds of jobs at stake. All lies designed to manipulate you into helping him frame Marcus. But Marcus was guilty. He did steal money. He did cheat on me. Yes, he did. But the amount of his theft was greatly exaggerated to cover Mr. Richardson's much larger theft. Marcus deserved to be punished for what he actually did, but he was punished for crimes he didn't commit. I sat in silence, trying to process this information. Detective Morrison, why are you telling me this now? Because Mr. Richardson was arrested by the FBI yesterday. The investigation is complete. When this story comes out publicly, it's going to raise serious questions about Marcus's case. What kind of questions? Questions about whether Marcus received a fair trial. Questions about whether evidence was planted or manipulated. Questions about whether you were an unwitting accomplice to Mr. Richardson's scheme. Was I an accomplice? You were a victim, Elena. Just like Marcus was a victim. Just like Vivian was a victim. Mr. Richardson manipulated all of you for his own purposes. That night, I called Rachel to discuss the legal implications. Rachel, this changes everything, doesn't it? It changes some things. If Marcus was convicted based on evidence that was manipulated or inflated, his conviction could be reduced or overturned. You mean he could get out of prison early? It's possible. But Elena, Marcus still cheated on you. He still stole money. From you. Those facts haven't changed. But the amount he stole might have been much less than what he was convicted for. You might need to give back some of the assets you received in the divorce settlement. I felt overwhelmed. Rachel, I don't know what to do. First, we wait to see what happens with Mr. Richardson's case. Then we figure out what this means for Marcus's conviction. Then we deal with any financial implications. What if Marcus wants to get back together when this all comes out? Do you want to get back together with him? I thought about it carefully. No. What he did to me was real. The affair was real. The lies were real. Even if the legal consequences were unfair, the betrayal still happened. Then that's your answer. 3 days later, Mr. Richardson's arrest made national news. Corporate executive used employees' marital crisis to cover massive embezzlement scheme. The news story explained how Mr. Richardson had discovered Marcus's affair and used it as a weapon to deflect attention from his own much larger theft. It described how he had manipulated me into becoming an unwitting investigator who helped frame my own husband. The day after the story broke, Marcus called me from prison. Elena, have you seen the news? I've seen it. I need to talk to you. There are things I need to say about all of this. Marcus, I don't think we should… Please, just coffee. There are things you need to know about what really happened. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him when he was released the following week. His conviction had been overturned based on the new evidence, though he still had to complete probation for the smaller amounts he had actually stolen. We met at a neutral location, a diner across town that neither of us had ever been to before. Marcus looked different. Older, thinner, but somehow more solid. Prison and therapy had changed him in ways I could see. Elena, I know you probably still hate me. I don't hate you, Marcus, but I don't love you anymore either. I understand. I just needed you to know that I never meant for you to get caught up in Mr. Richardson's scheme. I know. We were both used by him. I've been thinking about this whole situation for weeks, ever since my lawyer told me about the FBI investigation. Elena, I'm so sorry that my affair gave Mr. Richardson the opportunity to manipulate you. Marcus, your affair would have hurt me whether Mr. Richardson existed or not. I know. But the way it all played out, the phone call, the urgency, the way you were dragged into investigating me, that wasn't natural. That was orchestrated. How did you want me to find out? I wanted to tell you myself. When I got back from the, Maldives, I had planned a whole confession. What were you going to say? I was going to tell you about the affair. I was going to tell you about the money I took. I was going to ask for your forgiveness and beg you to go to counseling with. Would that have made a difference? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe if you had heard it from me instead of discovering it through Mr. Richardson's manipulation, we could have had a chance to work through it. Marcus, we'll never know that. I know. And I have to live with that forever. We sat in silence for a moment. Elena, my lawyer thinks I might be entitled to compensation for wrongful imprisonment. What does that mean for our divorce settlement? I don't want anything back. Even if I'm legally entitled to some of our assets, I don't want them. What I did to you was real, regardless of what Mr. Richardson did to both of us. I looked at this man I had been married to for 10 years. He was finally taking full responsibility for his actions in a way he never had during our marriage. Marcus, I'm glad you're getting help. I'm glad you're learning to be honest about your feelings. It's too late for us, isn't it? Yes, it is. I understand, but Elena, I want you to know that you saved my life. What do you mean? When you fought back, when you refused to be a victim, you showed me what real strength looks like. In prison, in therapy, I kept thinking about how you handled this crisis. You investigated. You gathered evidence. You took control. You didn't just let things happen to you. I learned something from your letters, actually. From my letters. You taught me that suffering in silence doesn't help anyone. You taught me that secrets destroy relationships. You taught me that sometimes you have to fight for what matters to you. I'm glad something good came from this mess. Marcus, can I ask you something? Anything. Are you happy now? Marcus thought about it carefully. I'm not happy, but I'm honest, and that's something I wasn't for a very long time. That's a good start. What about you? Are you happy? I thought about my new life, my therapy, my support group, my beautiful house and garden, my growing confidence in myself. Yes, I said. I think I really am. As I walked away from that diner, I realized something important. Mr. Richardson had tried to use me as a pawn in his criminal scheme. He had exploited my pain and my love for my husband to cover up his own crimes. But in the end, his manipulation had backfired. Instead of destroying me, it had made me stronger. Instead of making me a victim, it had turned me into someone who refused to be anyone's victim ever again. Mr. Richardson had thought he was so clever, using my broken marriage as a weapon in his corporate fraud. He had no idea that he was actually setting me free. 6 months after Mr. Richardson's arrest, his case finally went to trial. I was called as a key witness to testify about the phone call that had started everything. As I sat in the witness box, the prosecutor asked me to recount that terrible night when my world fell apart. Mrs. Santos, please tell the court about the phone call you received from Mr. Richardson on the evening of your wedding anniversary. Mr. Richardson called me and said he had meant to call Marcus. He said there was an emergency with the Peterson presentation and that hundreds of jobs were at stake. Did Mr. Richardson seem surprised to reach you instead of Marcus? I thought back to that phone call, remembering every detail. Actually, no. He seemed panicked about the Peterson account, but he didn't seem surprised to hear my voice. Did he try to hang up and call Marcus's cell phone instead? No, he kept talking to me. Did he ask you to have Marcus call him back when he returned? No, he asked me to help directly by checking Marcus's work computer. The prosecutor showed me a document. Mrs. Santos, this is Marcus's employment file, who is listed as his emergency contact. I looked at the paper in confusion. It says his mother, Maria Santos. But you weren't listed as his emergency contact, were you? No, I wasn't. So Mr. Richardson would have had to look up your phone number specifically to call you. This wasn't a case of accidentally calling the wrong number from an emergency. Contact list. I felt a chill run down my spine. You're right. He would have had to find my number on purpose. Mrs. Santos, does it seem strange to you now that a boss would ask an employee's wife to break into work files instead of trying multiple ways to reach the employee directly? Yes, it seems very strange. Mrs. Santos, when you accessed Marcus's computer that night, how easy was it to find evidence of his affair? I remembered that awful night. Very easy. There was a folder right on his desktop labeled Personal, Private. Did that seem unusual? Would someone hiding an affair normally leave evidence so easily accessible? No, Marcus was usually very careful about his privacy. He always locked his computer and protected his files. The prosecutor showed me another document. Mrs. Santos, this is a forensic analysis of Marcus's work computer. It shows that the folder containing the affair evidence was created on the same day Mr. Richardson called you. My heart stopped. What does that mean? It means someone put that evidence there for you to find. Someone with access to Marcus's work computer, someone who knew his passwords. Mr. Richardson? That's what the evidence suggests. I sat in the witness box, stunned. Are you saying Mr. Richardson planted evidence of Marcus's affair? Not planted, Mrs. Santos. The affair was real. But we believe Mr. Richardson gathered evidence of the affair from other sources. Security cameras, expense reports, hotel records. and compiled it all in an easy-to-find folder on Marcus's computer. Why would he do that? Because he needed you to find it quickly. He needed you to be so shocked and angry about the affair that you wouldn't question why he was asking you to investigate your husband's work files. He used my pain to manipulate me. Yes, he did. The prosecutor continued. Mrs. Santos, the Peterson account that Mr. Richardson said was in danger. We've learned that account had already been lost months before Marcus's trip to the Maldives. The presentation you helped save was for a client that was no longer working with the company. I felt like the floor was falling out from under me. So there was never any real emergency? No emergency, no hundreds of jobs at stake. It was all lies designed to manipulate you into becoming his investigator. After my testimony, I sat in the courtroom gallery and watched as the full scope of Mr. Richardson's manipulation was revealed. He had been stealing from the company for over 5 years. When an internal audit was announced, he needed a way to explain the missing money. Marcus, with his real but smaller thefts and his affair, was the perfect scapegoat. Mr. Richardson had been monitoring Marcus's activities for months. He knew about the affair with Vivian. He knew about the Maldives trip. He knew Marcus was taking small amounts of money from company accounts. The phone call to me wasn't a panicked mistake. It was the final step in a carefully planned operation to make Marcus look like the main thief. But here's what Mr. Richardson didn't plan on: me being so thorough in my investigation. I thought I would find just enough evidence to implicate Marcus in both the affair and some financial irregularities. He didn't think I would uncover the full extent of everything. When I discovered all of Marcus's financial activities and documented them so completely, I accidentally created a perfect record of exactly how much money Marcus had actually stolen. This record later made it possible for investigators to prove that the missing money was far more than Marcus could have taken. In a twisted way, my thorough investigation of Marcus's betrayal eventually led to Mr. Richardson's downfall. The prosecutor addressed the jury in his closing statement. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richardson didn't just steal money from his company, he stole a woman's trust. He took Elena Santos's love for her husband and turned it into a weapon against that very husband. He exploited the most painful moment of her life to cover up his own crimes. Mr. Richardson was sentenced to 12 years in prison and ordered to pay back the full $4 million he had stolen. After the trial ended, I felt a strange mix of emotions. I was angry that I had been manipulated. I was sad that my marriage had been used as a tool in someone else's criminal scheme, but I was also strangely proud. I had been targeted by a master manipulator who thought he could use me as his pawn. Instead, I had become the queen who captured his king. Outside the courthouse, Detective Morrison approached me. Elena, how are you feeling about all this? Honestly, I feel like I've been through 3 different betrayals. First, Marcus betrayed me. Then I thought Marcus was the only villain. Now I find out Mr. Richardson betrayed both of us. I'm sorry you had to go through all of that. Detective Morrison, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think things would have been different if Mr. Richardson hadn't manipulated the situation? Do you think Marcus and I could have worked things out? Detective Morrison thought carefully. Elena, Marcus still had an affair. He still stole money from you. He still lied to you for months. Those things would have hurt you no matter how you found out about them. But maybe if he had told me himself. Maybe. But Elena, you can't live your life wondering about what ifs. You can only deal with what actually happened. And what actually happened is that I survived. I fought back. I won. You did more than win. You exposed a major criminal conspiracy while saving yourself. That evening, I sat in my garden with a cup of tea, thinking about everything that had happened over the past 3 years. I had started this journey as a naive wife planning an anniversary dinner. I had become a betrayed woman fighting for justice. Then I had become a survivor learning to forgive. And finally, I had become someone who understood that even in the worst circumstances, you can choose to be strong. Mr. Richardson had thought he was so clever. He had studied my marriage, identified my weaknesses, and crafted the perfect plan to use my love against my husband. But he had made one crucial mistake. He had underestimated me. He thought I would be easy to manipulate because I loved Marcus. He thought my emotions would make me blind to the bigger picture. He thought my pain would make me weak. He was wrong about all of it. My love for Marcus had made me fight harder for the truth. My emotions had given me the strength to investigate thoroughly. My pain had transformed me into someone who refused to be anyone's victim. I looked around at my beautiful garden, at my house with its warm lights glowing in the windows. This was my kingdom now. I had built it from the ashes of my old life. Marcus had betrayed me, but in doing so, he had set me free from a marriage that wasn't working. Mr. Richardson had tried to use me, but in doing so, he had turned me into someone stronger than I ever knew I could be. I had started this story as Elena Santos, the betrayed wife. I was ending it as Elena Santos, the woman who refused to stay betrayed. The phone call that was supposed to destroy me had actually saved me. And that, I realized, was the real truth of my story. And that's how I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the universe setting you free. I'd love to know where you're listening from right now. Drop a comment and tell me your city or country. It always amazes me how these stories connect people from all around the world. If this story touched your heart or gave you hope that you can overcome anything life throws at you, please hit that like button. It really helps spread these stories of strength and survival to others who might need to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us share more stories of kindness, courage, and the incredible power we all have inside us to turn our pain into purpose. There's another incredible story of triumph waiting for you right on your screen. Click on it now. I promise it will remind you just how strong you really are. Until next time, remember, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and more loved than you know.